Capricorn. This is why you feel restless lately. Number 5 will shock you. Capricorn. Something has been off lately, hasn't it? You can't quite put your finger on it, but there's this heaviness in your chest, this constant buzzing in your mind, this feeling that you should be doing something, but you don't know what. You're the most disciplined, grounded, stable sign in the Zodiac. Yet suddenly, you feel anything but stable. You feel restless. And it's not just a bad day or a passing mood. This has been building for weeks, maybe months. You wake up feeling unsettled. You go through your routine, check off your tasks, accomplish your goals. But none of it feels satisfying anymore. There's this gnawing sensation that something is wrong, something is missing, something needs to change. But what? You've tried to push through it the way you always do. You've tried working harder, staying busier, adding more to your plate, thinking that if you just accomplish enough, achieve enough, build enough, this feeling will go away. But it hasn't. If anything, it's gotten worse. The more you do, the more restless you become. The more you accomplish, the more empty you feel. And that terrifies you because Capricorn doesn't do lost. Capricorn doesn't do aimless. Capricorn always has a plan, always has direction, always knows the next step. Except right now, you don't. Here's what you need to understand. This restlessness isn't random. It's not anxiety. It's not burnout, though that might be part of it. This is your soul screaming at you that something fundamental in your life is out of alignment. And ignoring it won't make it go away. In this video, I'm going to reveal 5 deep reasons why you've been feeling this way. We're going to talk about the success that stopped fulfilling you, the path you've been following that was never truly yours, the relationships draining your energy, the dreams you abandoned, and, in number 5, the shocking truth about what your restlessness is really trying to tell you. If you're ready to understand what your soul has been trying to communicate, stay until the end. This isn't just another astrology video. This is your wake-up call. If you're ready to finally understand what your soul has been desperately trying to communicate, then stay with me until the very end. And before we dive deep into these revelations, hit that subscribe button and leave a like, because what we're about to uncover might just change the entire trajectory of your life. Let's begin. Here's the brutal truth that Capricorn needs to hear. You've been climbing a mountain that was never yours. You've been working toward goals that other people defined as success, following a path that society said you should take, building a life that looks impressive on paper but feels hollow in your soul. Think about it, Capricorn. When did you last stop and ask yourself, not what you should do, not what makes sense, not what's practical or responsible, but what you actually want? When did you last consult your heart instead of your logic? When did you last make a decision based on passion rather than duty? You can't remember, can you? Because somewhere along the way, you stopped listening to yourself. You learned that dreams were impractical, that desires were selfish, that following your heart was irresponsible. So you did what Capricorn does best. You created a plan based on what made sense. You set goals that seemed worthy, valuable, respectable. Goals that would make your family proud, that would prove your worth, that would guarantee security and stability. And you achieved them. Of course you did. You're Capricorn. You climbed that mountain step by disciplined step. You built that career, earned that title, accumulated those achievements. You checked every box, met every expectation, proved everyone right who said you'd be successful. But here's what nobody told you. Achieving someone else's definition of success doesn't satisfy your soul. It can't. Because it was never your dream to begin with. This is why you feel restless. You're standing at the top of a mountain you never wanted to climb, looking at a view that doesn't move you, holding achievements that feel empty in your hands. The restlessness isn't laziness or ingratitude. It's your soul's way of saying, this isn't it. This isn't what we're here for. This isn't our purpose. And the most heartbreaking part? You're afraid to admit this because you've invested so much, so many years, so much sacrifice, so much effort. To acknowledge that you've been on the wrong path means facing the reality that you've spent years, maybe decades, building a life that doesn't actually fulfill you. That's a terrifying thing to confront. So instead, you double down. You tell yourself you're just tired, that you need a vacation, that this is normal. You add more achievements to your resume, thinking that maybe the next promotion, the next milestone, the next accomplishment will finally make you feel complete. But it won't. It never will. Because you're trying to fill a void with achievements, when what you're actually hungry for is purpose, meaning, alignment. Let me ask you something, Capricorn, and I want you to answer honestly, even if it scares you. If you could start over, knowing everything you know now, would you choose this same path, this same career, this same life? Or would you choose something completely different? That hesitation you just felt? That split second, before your logical mind rushed in with all the reasons why your current path makes sense? That hesitation is your truth. That's your soul trying to tell you something. You've been so focused on the how to succeed, how to build, how to achieve, that you forgot to ask why. Why this goal? Why this path? Why this version of success? And without a deep, personal why, even the most impressive achievements feel meaningless. This restlessness is your wake-up call, Capricorn. It's telling you that it's not too late to change direction, that the time you've invested doesn't obligate you to continue investing in the wrong thing, that choosing yourself isn't selfish, it's essential, that redefining success on your own terms isn't failure, it's courage. Capricorn, can we talk about the weight you've been carrying? Not the physical weight, though your body probably feels it too, but the crushing weight of everyone's expectations. The weight of being the responsible one, the reliable one, the one who never fails, the one who always has it together. You've been performing a role for so long that you've forgotten it's a performance. You've been so busy being who everyone needs you to be that you've lost touch with who you actually are. And that disconnect, that gap between your authentic self and the version of you that you present to the world, is why you feel so restless. Let's be specific about what this looks like. You're the one your family calls when there's a crisis. You're the one your friends lean on for advice and support. You're the one at work who gets assigned the most challenging projects because everyone knows you'll deliver. You're the rock, the foundation, the person everyone depends on. And you've accepted this role. Maybe you even take pride in it. Because being needed feels like being valued, doesn't it? Being reliable feels like being important. Being the strong one feels like having purpose. But here's what nobody acknowledges. Being everyone's rock is exhausting. Holding everyone else up, while nobody holds you up, is unsustainable. Meeting everyone's expectations, while neglecting your own needs, is slowly killing you from the inside out. The restlessness you feel is your body and soul rebelling against this impossible standard you've set for yourself. It's your inner self saying, I can't do this anymore. I don't want to be strong all the time. I don't want to sacrifice my needs for everyone else's comfort. I don't want to be the person who never breaks, never struggles, never needs help. But you can't say that out loud, can you? Because people need you to be strong. They're counting on you. They've built their entire support system around your reliability. If you admit you're struggling, if you show weakness, if you ask for help, what happens then? Who catches you when you fall? Who supports you when you're the one who needs support? So you keep performing. You keep meeting expectations. You keep being the version of yourself that everyone else needs, even though that version is suffocating the real you. And with every expectation you meet, with every person you support, with every problem you solve that isn't your own, the restlessness grows. Because here's the truth. You're not restless because you're not doing enough. You're restless because you're doing too much of what doesn't matter and not enough of what does. You're giving your energy to everyone else's dreams while your own dreams sit in the corner, gathering dust, quietly dying from neglect. Think about the last time you did something purely for yourself. Not something productive or responsible. Not something that benefited others. Not something that aligned with who you should be. Something that you wanted simply because you wanted it. When was that? Last month? Last year? Can you even remember? This is the cage you've built for yourself, Capricorn. A cage made of other people's expectations, reinforced by your own sense of duty, locked by your fear of disappointing anyone. And every day you spend in that cage, performing that role, meeting those expectations, the real you grows more restless, more desperate, more suffocated. The most tragic part? People think you're fine. They see your accomplishments, your composure, your reliability, and they assume you're thriving. They don't see the nights you can't sleep. They don't see the mornings you wake up feeling hollow. They don't see the moments you stare at your reflection and barely recognize the person looking back. And you won't tell them. Because admitting struggle feels like admitting failure. Because Capricorn doesn't ask for help. Because showing vulnerability would shatter the image everyone depends on. But Capricorn, you were never meant to be a role. You were meant to be a person. A full, complex, messy, imperfect person with needs and desires and limits. And pretending otherwise isn't strength, it's self-abandonment. Now we get to the heart of it, Capricorn. The reason you feel so restless, so disconnected, so fundamentally wrong, it's because you've been living as a carefully edited version of yourself. You've taken all the parts that don't fit the mold of successful Capricorn and buried them so deep that you've almost forgotten they exist. But they're still there, and they're screaming. Let me paint you a picture. There was a version of you, maybe years ago, maybe decades, who had dreams that didn't make sense, who had interests that weren't practical, who had desires that didn't align with success or stability or responsibility. Maybe you wanted to be an artist, but that wasn't realistic. Maybe you wanted to travel the world, but that wasn't responsible. Maybe you wanted to pursue something passionate instead of something profitable, but that wasn't the Capricorn way. So you made a choice. Not consciously, perhaps, but deliberately nonetheless. You decided that in order to succeed, in order to be taken seriously, in order to prove your worth, you needed to become someone else. Someone more disciplined, more focused, more practical. Someone who chose logic over emotion, responsibility over passion, security over risk. And it worked, didn't it? That calculated, practical version of you succeeded. That disciplined, serious version of you achieved. That responsible, mature version of you built something impressive. But that version of you isn't the whole you. It's just the parts you decided were acceptable, valuable, worthy of existing. The rest, the playful parts, the creative parts, the spontaneous parts, the emotional parts, the parts that dream without calculating the odds, you locked them away. You told yourself they were childish, impractical, unrealistic. You told yourself that successful people don't indulge in such things. You told yourself that growing up means leaving those parts behind. But here's what you didn't realize. Those parts of you aren't dead. They're just imprisoned. And the restlessness you feel? That's them rattling the bars of their cage, demanding to be acknowledged, refusing to be ignored any longer. This is why nothing satisfies you anymore, Capricorn. You've achieved success as a fraction of who you are. You've built a life that only accommodates certain parts of you, while suffocating the rest. It's like trying to live in a house where half the rooms are locked. Sure, you can survive, but you'll never feel at home. Think about the moments when you feel most alive, not most successful, but most alive. What are you doing in those moments? Are you following the plan, meeting expectations, being responsible, Capricorn? Or are you doing something that the mature version of you would consider frivolous or impractical? Maybe it's when you're creating something with no purpose other than creation itself. Maybe it's when you're laughing so hard you forget to be composed. Maybe it's when you're doing something spontaneous, unplanned, completely unlike you. Maybe it's when you drop the mask for just a moment and allow yourself to simply be. Those moments feel like coming up for air after being underwater too long. They feel like relief. They feel like home. Because in those moments, you're not performing, you're being. And the contrast between those moments and the rest of your life is what's creating this unbearable restlessness. You've tasted authenticity, and now the performance feels suffocating. You've remembered who you are beneath the role, and now the role feels like a prison. The question is, how much longer are you willing to live as half of yourself? How many more years will you sacrifice authenticity for approval? How many more achievements will you accumulate trying to fill the void that only wholeness can fill? Because here's what I need you to understand. The world doesn't need another perfectly performing Capricorn. The world needs you, messy, complex, multidimensional you. The version that doesn't always make sense. The version that sometimes chooses passion over practicality. The version that's more than just achievements and responsibilities. That version has been waiting for you to remember it exists. And it's not going to stay quiet much longer. Before we continue to the final 2 reasons, and trust me, what's coming next is going to hit even deeper. I need to hear from you, Capricorn. Have you felt this restlessness? Have you been achieving success while feeling empty? Have you been performing a role while your authentic self suffers in silence? Drop a comment below and tell me, what part of yourself have you buried to fit the mold? What dream did you abandon for practicality? Share your truth, because I promise you're not alone in this struggle. And sometimes just admitting it out loud is the first step toward reclaiming yourself. Now we arrive at the fear that's been holding you hostage, Capricorn. The fear that changing direction equals failure. You've invested so much time, so much energy, so much of your life into this particular path that the thought of changing course feels like admitting that all of it was a mistake. And for someone who's built their entire identity around never making mistakes, that's unbearable. Let me be clear about what's happening in your mind right now. You feel the restlessness. You know something needs to change. You can sense that the life you're living isn't the life you're meant to live. But every time you consider making a change, a real change, not just a surface-level adjustment, your brain floods you with objections. But I've spent 10 years building this career. But I've already invested so much. But people are counting on me. But I can't just throw it all away. But what will people think? But I'm too old to start over. But this is who I am now. Notice the pattern? Every objection starts with but. Every reason to stay is rooted in fear, disguised as practicality. You're not staying because this path fulfills you. You're staying because leaving feels like failure, and Capricorn doesn't fail. Except you're already failing, Capricorn. Not externally. Externally, you're still succeeding, still achieving, still impressive. But internally, you're failing yourself. You're failing the person you could become. You're failing the life you're meant to live. You're failing by choosing comfort over authenticity, security over fulfillment, other people's approval over your own happiness. And here's the cruelest irony. The thing you're most afraid of, that changing course means you've wasted time. That's already true. Every day you stay on the wrong path is another day wasted. Every year you spend building a life that doesn't fulfill you is another year you can't get back. The time isn't wasted because you made a mistake. It's wasted because you refuse to correct it. Think about it logically, Capricorn. And I know you love logic. If you're in a car driving away from your destination, do you keep driving in the wrong direction because you've already gone so far? Or do you turn around, even if it means admitting you took a wrong turn? The answer is obvious when it's a metaphor. But when it's your life, suddenly it becomes complicated. Because turning around means facing uncomfortable truths. It means admitting to yourself and others that you were wrong. It means dealing with people's confusion, disappointment, judgment. It means starting over in some areas. It means uncertainty. And Capricorn hates uncertainty more than almost anything else. You've built your entire life around creating stability, control, predictability. The thought of intentionally choosing uncertainty, of deliberately stepping into the unknown, feels reckless. It feels irresponsible. It feels like everything you've spent your life trying to avoid. But here's what you're missing. The restlessness you feel right now, that's uncertainty living inside you. The discomfort you're experiencing, that's already the chaos you're trying to avoid. You think staying on this path is the safe choice, but you're not safe. You're slowly drowning in a life that doesn't fit you anymore. There's no safety in suffocation. There's no stability in living out of alignment. There's no security in building a life that makes you feel dead inside. Let me ask you something, Capricorn. What would you tell someone you love if they were in your situation? If your best friend or your child came to you and said, "I'm miserable in this life I've built, but I've invested so much that I can't leave now," what would you say? You'd tell them the truth, wouldn't you? You'd tell them that no amount of time invested justifies staying in the wrong place. You tell them that it's never too late to choose happiness. You tell them that changing direction isn't failure, it's courage. So why can't you give yourself that same compassion? Why do you hold yourself to a standard of perfection that you'd never impose on anyone else? Why do you believe that you, specifically, don't deserve the chance to start over, to change your mind, to choose differently? The restlessness you feel is your soul begging you to be brave. Not reckless, brave. There's a difference. Reckless is making changes without thought. Brave is making changes despite fear. And right now, choosing yourself, choosing authenticity, choosing a life that actually fulfills you. That's not failure, Capricorn. That's the bravest thing you could possibly do. And now we arrive at the truth that will shock you most, Capricorn. The real reason you feel so restless, the reason that encompasses all the others, is this. Your soul knows something your conscious mind hasn't accepted yet. You're meant for something bigger, deeper, more meaningful than what you're currently doing. And your restlessness isn't a problem to solve. It's a calling to answer. This is the part that will sound irrational to your logical mind. This is the part that doesn't fit into a spreadsheet or a 5-year plan. But I need you to hear it anyway, because it's the truth your soul has been screaming at you while your mind tries to rationalize it away. You are not here just to build, achieve, accumulate, and climb. You're not here just to be responsible, reliable, and successful by other people's standards. Those things might be part of your journey, but they're not your purpose. They're not the reason you feel so deeply, think so intensely, work so tirelessly. Your restlessness is your soul's way of telling you that you're capable of so much more than you're currently allowing yourself to be. That the life you're living, as impressive as it might look from the outside, is too small for who you actually are. That you're playing a game you've already won while ignoring the game you were actually meant to play. And here's what makes this so difficult. You can't logic your way into understanding your purpose. You can't create a strategic plan to find your calling. You can't achieve your way into meaning. Purpose doesn't come from doing more. It comes from being more. From connecting more deeply with yourself, with others, with something larger than your individual ambitions. This is why success feels empty. This is why achievements don't satisfy you anymore. This is why no amount of external validation fills the void. Because what you're actually hungry for isn't more success, it's significance. It's meaning. It's the feeling that your life matters in a way that transcends job titles and bank accounts. Your soul knows this. It knows that you have gifts the world needs that have nothing to do with your resume. It knows you have wisdom to share that didn't come from your career. It knows you have capacity for impact that goes far beyond what you're currently doing. And it's done waiting for you to figure this out on your own. The restlessness is your soul's last resort. It tried whispering, you ignored it. It tried subtle signs, you rationalized them. It tried gentle nudges, you powered through them. So now it's screaming. It's making you so uncomfortable in your current life that you have no choice but to pay attention. This is your wake-up call, Capricorn. This is your opportunity to stop sleepwalking through a life that was never meant for you and start living with purpose, with intention, with alignment. Not someday. Not when you retire. Not when circumstances are perfect. Now. Because here's the truth. You don't have forever. None of us do. Every day you spend in a life that doesn't align with your purpose is a day you can never get back. Every year you invest in building something that doesn't matter to your soul is a year lost to fear, to conditioning, to other people's expectations. And at the end of your life, you won't wish you had achieved more, earned more, impressed more people. You'll wish you had been braver. You'll wish you had listened to that restless feeling and acted on it. You'll wish you had chosen yourself, your purpose, your calling, even when it didn't make sense, even when it scared you, even when it meant starting over. The question is, are you going to wait until it's too late to listen? Or are you going to honor this restlessness for what it actually is, a gift, a compass, a guide leading you toward the life you're actually meant to live? And this, Capricorn, is your crisis, the conflict between who you've become and who you're meant to be. You've spent your entire life building a fortress of success, achievement, and responsibility. You've climbed every mountain, checked every box, proven every doubter wrong. You become exactly who you set out to be. And it's not enough. It was never going to be enough. Because you built your life on someone else's blueprint, following someone else's definition of success, chasing someone else's version of happiness. The world sees stability. You feel stagnation. The world sees success. You feel emptiness. The world sees discipline. You feel imprisonment. The world sees Capricorn the achiever. You feel a stranger living someone else's life. And the most painful part? You can't even explain this to anyone. Because how do you tell people that everything you've worked for doesn't matter? How do you admit that the life everyone envies feels hollow? How do you confess that you're terrified you've wasted years building something beautiful that doesn't belong to you? So you carry it silently. The restlessness, the disconnection, the growing certainty that something fundamental needs to change. You wake up every day and put on the mask of successful Capricorn, while your authentic self slowly suffocates beneath the weight of achievements that mean nothing to your soul. But here's what you need to understand. This restlessness isn't your enemy. It's your savior. It's the part of you that refuses to settle, refuses to accept a life of comfortable misery, refuses to let you waste your potential on a path that was never yours. Your soul is staging a revolution, and you can either fight it, exhaust yourself trying to maintain control over a life that doesn't fit you anymore, or you can surrender to it. You can finally admit that the mountain you've been climbing was never your mountain, that the success you've achieved was never your success, that the life you've built, as impressive as it is, was never actually your life. And once you admit that, once you stop fighting the truth and start honoring it, everything changes. The restlessness transforms from torment into guidance. The discomfort becomes clarity. The void becomes space for something real, something meaningful, something authentically yours. You are standing at a crossroads, Capricorn. Behind you is the life you've built, stable, respectable, safe, empty. Ahead of you is uncertainty, risk, the terrifying possibility of choosing yourself, of trusting your soul over your logic, of building something that actually matters to you rather than something that impresses everyone else. Which path are you brave enough to choose? So Capricorn, here's what I need you to hear. The restlessness will not go away until you listen to it. You can't achieve your way out of it, distract your way around it, or logic your way through it. It will follow you until you stop running and finally face the truth it's trying to show you. Your life is meant to be more than an impressive resume. Your existence is meant to be more than meeting expectations. Your purpose is bigger than the boxes you've been checking, the goals you've been achieving, the role you've been performing. And the beautiful, terrifying truth is this: you already know what needs to change. You've known for a while now. Maybe you don't know exactly what comes next, but you know what can't continue. You know which relationships are draining you. You know which parts of your life are misaligned. You know which dreams you've been ignoring. You know which version of yourself you've been hiding. Stop waiting for permission. Stop waiting for the perfect moment. Stop waiting for circumstances to be ideal. They never will be. Change is uncomfortable by nature. Growth is scary by design. Choosing yourself will always feel selfish until you understand that you can't pour from an empty cup. You can't give what you don't have. You can't help others thrive while you're slowly dying inside. Your restlessness is a gift. Honor it. Your discomfort is a message. Listen to it. Your soul is calling you towards something bigger. Answer it. It won't be easy. But I promise you, living out of alignment is harder. Building a life that doesn't fit is harder. Achieving success that doesn't satisfy is harder. Waking up every day as someone you're not is harder. You deserve more than comfortable misery. You deserve more than impressive emptiness. You deserve a life that makes you feel alive, not just accomplished, but truly, deeply, authentically alive. Now I want to hear from you. What is your restlessness trying to tell you? What part of your life no longer fits? What would you change if fear wasn't holding you back? Drop a comment below and share your truth. Because sometimes the bravest thing you can do is admit that you're not okay, that you're not fulfilled, that you need something to change. And if this video resonated with you, if it gave voice to feelings you couldn't name, if it helped you see your restlessness as guidance rather than a problem, hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into the hidden truths of every zodiac sign. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your courage in facing these uncomfortable truths. And remember, the restlessness isn't a curse, Capricorn. It's your soul refusing to let you settle for anything less than extraordinary. Until next time, stop building lives that don't fit you, stop climbing mountains that were never yours, and start listening to the voice inside that knows exactly what you need, even when it scares you. See you in the next video.